welcome to everyone joining us for the second in our series, considering the Kadenze approach to online learning and what makes it so distinctive. We are continuing our discussion with Brad Haseman, Executive Vice President of Kadenze. Last time we talked about the creation effect and the narrative effect, but today, Brad, you want to start by discussing the fictional reality effect.
Well, fictional reality, what is that? Well, of course, everybody's concerned about how you work in the real world, about the job you do, and do you have the skills and capabilities to do it. Higher education, universities, colleges are obsessed with graduating an industry workforce ready group of people. So that's pervasive everywhere in learning now. But there's a curious thing about the arts which adds a layer to this, which is when artists and creative people are working, they actually create a representation of that real world. It isn't the real world in a sense, but it's a representation of it. And of course, this is an old debate in the philosophy of art. It goes back to Aristotle's argument with Plato. But what you find is these representations are enormously illuminating because they allow you to see what is differently. You refract off the real. So the third effect is this fictional reality effect. So it embraces the representations of the real and the importance of engaging with that real, but at the same time, the effect we can create in our online courses is to play with fictional versions of it. And suddenly that opens up a whole range of choices for all instructors. And it's so powerful in learning because it gives people a chance to reflect on and see into the dynamics of how the world may be, not how it is, how it ought to be, not how it is, but it also starts to empower people to adapt and how they can work and have agency on and in the world. Now, I used the term reflection there a moment ago, and this is actually what I consider to be the fourth effect of Kadenze's approach to learning online. Now, we all know, again, reflection is important. Donald Schoen's, Dewey's groundbreaking work on reflective practice still informs the development of, professionals and professional practice today and its complexity. But it does require structured management, because reflection live, in the live space, is one thing. To do it online is another thing. And there are advantages in the online space. It's a curious thing. Reflection doesn't have to be necessarily done face-to-face. And in fact, at times it can be even more potent when you're sitting behind the screen and you've got distance and time to think. So reflection can be intensely personal, but then reflection needs to be public and shared. So the developing the habit of mind to reflect, to then take those deliberate understandings that have been thought through and then shared and subject to critique is absolutely essential. So for Kadenze, reflection is share intensive, it's networked, and it's massed. And of course, the benefit of that is the more people critiquing, the more perspectives you have, the greater your global connections, because you're working and talking with people all around the world. And of course, what you're able to do is bring these multiple possibilities to bear on the practice that you're engaged in. We need to understand, in a sense, that the purpose of this reflection isn't to all agree on something or to prove something is right. We don't take Molière's plays to the Supreme Court because we don't think Molière's a good playwright and he should, and he's bad at what he does. There's no point in that. Now, some people may not like Molière, others may be passionate about Molière, but the point is, how do we get good at disagreement? That's what we need to do in the humanities, and that's what we need to drive through the reflection effect of this Kadenze approach to teaching and learning How do we get good at disagreeing and understanding and accepting, being tolerant of ambiguity?